Bennett Weiner, and my current title is Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at BBB Wise Giving Alliance. I'm in Arlington, Virginia. That's where I'm calling from now. And my role, I guess, today is historian, because I've been here for so long, and I'm going to be talking about all our history, and I look forward to going over all the things that we've been accomplishing these past 20 years. I'm going to go quickly through these because there's a lot of history to cover. So please pardon my speed as I go through more than 20 years. So we have over a century experience when we're talking about the two organizations. The Better Business Bureau system was founded in 1912, a focus on truth in advertising and business reporting, and National Charities Information Bureau, which was founded in 1918. And NCIB was the first entity in the country to have standards and report on charities in that context in terms of accountability. They have that long legacy. I thought I'd go through some of our history by just showing you some of the reports over the years. At the national level, the BBB system, we began reporting on charities in the 1920s. This is an actual report from 1937 on the China Famine Relief, USA. And it was just a summary of what the organization does to share with the public. 20 years later, 1957, more sophisticated report. This is on the American Printing House for the Blind. This is several pages, including a financial summary. I also want to show you this logo. That's the original logo of the Better Business Bureau, a little eagle on top of these columns here. And also look at this slogan, performing a public service with the support of private industry. That was one of the slogans used by the National Better Business Bureau at that time. 20 years later, 1977, here's a report on the March of Dimes organization. And this was about 3 or 4 pages in length with programs, governance information, as long as financial summary. And this is the time that we began using the Philanthropic Advisory Service name. I wanted to stop off at 1976 because that was the year that both the Philanthropic Advisory Service and National Charities Information Bureau both had a summary list that was shared with the public that would fit into a business size envelope, like a poster that would fold it in. And this was a way of sharing a lot of information very simply before the internet was around. And that really helped put us on the map with media and many others at that time. And we call that poster Give, But Give Wisely. Jumping ahead another few years, this is a 1999 report. Again, March of Dimes. I was showing you the same organization in different modes. The one thing I wanted to point out is that we began posting our reports online around 1995, 1996. Really had the reports up very early in the World Wide Web. And this is an example of a report, of course, that we did in 1999, a little bit more stylized for the Philanthropic Advisory Service at the time. This is a 2010 report, and this is a redesigned report for a lot of internet activity. This report was a long scroll, but it had the same information of program finances as well as the evaluation in relation to standards. This is a more visually represented report, which I'll mention a little bit later, where we try to show the 20 standards and reinforce the holistic approach to our reporting. And again, this is March of Dimes. This is the 2021 report for that same organization. So throughout our history, both organizations, NCIB as well as Philanthropic Advisory Service, were devoted to, identify trustworthiness of charities through these rigorous standards-based evaluations. That's what really both organizations were about. We had that similar legacy in terms of reporting on many of the same charities and with standards that were very similar. Now, the Philanthropic Advisory Service was our name during much of our history in terms of charity reporting at the national level. And we also, it is a name that is difficult to pronounce for some members of the public, as well as spell. And here are some old envelopes we had, the Philadelphia Advisory Service at one time. And someone contacted the Philanthropic Advisory Service. And then the Fellow Traffic Advisory Service. The odd thing is that all those envelopes still contained a request for information on charities or a copy of the Give, But Give Wisely list they were requested, even though they used those very creative misspellings of Philanthropic Advisory Service. Now, the actual merger took place on March 23rd, and the Philanthropic Advisory Service at that time had been folded in 2 years earlier into the Council of Better Business Bureau's foundation. That made the merger easier because we had two charitable 501c3 organizations that were combined, and we became the BBB Wise Giving Alliance, a much easier name to both spell and pronounce for the public. So we've been happy with that name, and that certainly worked out. Throughout our history, we've all been about a certain framework of donor focus, objectivity. We don't comment on the worthiness of any, charity or cause, but we do believe in that standards-based approach to evaluation. This was the first website of the merger, and Adam Eckert, who was on the call today, helped design this very site, the first give.org website. Give.org was the original URL that National Charities Information Bureau had been using, and when we merged, we began to use that URL. So Adam, you did a great job. Looking back 20 years, that site still looks great, and thank you for the good work you did back then on the first website that we had. One of the biggest challenges we faced was in our first year, was September 11th, and we were faced with a large volume of requests from media about all these groups raising money for September 11th relief. It was also the year that American Red Cross was involved in a controversy, and they actually lost our seal and didn't meet standards because of the accuracy of some of the appeals that they had been distributing. I'm pleased to say that they cleaned up their act, and in fact, they're one of our biggest supporters now, American Red Cross. And but at that time, they were certainly under the gun in the wake of that September 11th fundraising activity. Early on in the merger, that charity list that I mentioned earlier evolved into a magazine, the Wise Giving Guide, which comes out 3 times a year. This particular issue is the only time we had a celebrity on the cover, Scarlett Johansson, and that's a picture that we got from Oxfam America with their permission. And that was an article about celebrities in charity, and the rest of the guide had the summary list of charity valuations. In 2003, we issued, after a 3-year period, the standards for charity accountability under the merged umbrella, which cover governance, results reporting, finances, and accuracy of appeals. This is a major project that took some time to put together with a lot of input throughout the charitable sector, and those standards have served us well over time. Around that same time in 2003, we launched the BBB Accredited Charity Seal. And in fact, that was intended that we would launch the seal at the time the new standards were released. And as you know, this is an optional activity for charities. They sign a license and pay a sliding scale fee in order to participate. If they meet all standards, they can get that seal if they want to. In 2005, we created the first online charity reporting system, which was a special program that was created to help us analyze the data that we were getting from charities. And this really helped us increase our report volume significantly. And so this was a major change in our approach in how charities provide us with information online instead of hard copy, but also helping us get those evaluations done much more faster, and also increasing our volume at the same time. We also shared the information that we have to help BBBs evaluate charities as well. And that online charity reporting system that we launched in 2005, we made it available to Better Business Bureaus at no charge. We didn't charge them for it. We wanted to encourage their regional evaluation. And we continue to assist BBBs with training back then and today in helping them conduct charity review should they want to launch into that area. Not all BBBs do that, but we certainly encourage organizations in the system to take it on if they want to. In 2007, we were involved in some testimony on Capitol Hill. That wasn't the only time that we did that, but we provided testimony about veterans charities as well as cause-related marketing. In fact, Art was testifying in front of the United States Senate Committee on Cause Marketing at the same time that I was testifying in the House on veterans charities. That's probably the only time one organization was simultaneously testifying with both House and Senate at the same time. So I suppose that's an achievement. The Accredited Charity Seal was a financial lifesaver for us. In 2009, that was the year we exceeded $1 million in seal revenue. We were in the black. We had paid all our debt to the Council of Better Business Bureaus, and we were doing well financially. Today, that seal brings in close to $2 million, and is our main source of revenue. It's really been a great financial success. In 2011, there was the launch of Charity Impact, and this was a special project that we did in conjunction with Independent Sector. With funding from the Hewlett Foundation. Later on, GuideStar also joined the project, and now GuideStar is known as Candid. And this was creating a framework for charities to be able to report on their impact that's still being in use today. 2012 was when we launched this new report format that I showed you earlier. And the intention here was to help underscore the holistic approach that we have to charity evaluations using the 20 standards. And we had sort of a traffic light type of symbols, green, yellow, red going on, where green meets standards, the yellow X, standards not met, and the red exclamation is did not disclose any information despite request. In 2012, we had a relationship with the Mobile Giving Foundation, and they were engaged in text-to-giving campaigns, and they were encouraging all their participants to meet the BBB charity standards to get involved with their campaigns. In 2013, there was an academic study released on charity accreditation, and this was in conjunction with the BBB of Metropolitan New York that worked with Professor Chen out of Baruch College, and he helped demonstrate through his research on both the national charity data as well as the Metro New York regional charity data that meeting standards is associated with greater fundraising results. So if you met standards, it's greater likelihood you're going to be bringing more contributions revenues than those that don't meet standards. In 2013, we were involved also in the Overhead Myth campaign. This particular outreach was started by GuideStar and their leadership, but they brought in BBB Wise Giving Alliance and Charity Navigator, and the three organizations collectively sent out a public letter to everyone, encouraging donors not to use finances as the sole consideration when making a giving decision. And that's certainly aligned with our philosophy, since we always believed in a broad approach to accountability, not just reviewing finances. In 2014, we released this version of the website. That's the one that had the owl on it. And one unique feature about this website is that it was a dual type of outreach. We wanted to reach out to donors as well as charities. So we had features for both. And that was one of the principal differences in the new design that we had put together. In 2014, we started a blog, Wise Giving Wednesday. And one of the reasons that we did that, we wanted a feature to keep changing each week on the homepage to help with our SEO, among other things, search engine optimization. And next Wednesday is going to be the 350th blog of Wise Giving Wednesday. It's hard to believe that we've come out so many of them, but we've done it continuously since 2014. In 2015, we were involved in a press conference for both the Federal Trade Commission as well as state attorneys generals, and they went after a number of cancer charities that really engaged in fraudulent activities. And this also demonstrated, again, our good relationship with the regulators in terms of addressing misrepresentation and questionable appeals, and we were proud to be part of that event in their announcement at that particular time. In 2015, we hosted an international conference on charity accountability, and we're engaged with an organization known as the International Committee on Fundraising Organizations, ICFO. That's actually a trade association of charity monitors from around the world. And Art currently serves on the board of that organization, and we continue to be involved with them in their activities as they address charity accountability on a global scale. In 2016, we had a major strategic planning event where we got together in this large hotel room in downtown DC, and we had a lot of philanthropic leaders as well as board members and other people involved. And Bob Johansson, who I believe is going to be speaking at a future event of the 20th anniversary. He was also helping us with our strategic plan, and we had a graphic recorder who was charting some of the discussion, and this is a picture of one of the charts that she had created for that particular day. But that was a great discussion of our strategy for the future at that time. And in 2017, we were involved in advancing collaboration. And this is a special project that initially was just a 12-part series of articles that we helped put together under arts leadership that appeared in the Stanford Social Innovation Review. For those who are not familiar, there's sort of the Harvard Business Review of the not-for-profit sector. And we continue to have on our website an encouragement of this project to have more collaboration between charities. And we have great examples online where people can find out how they can collaborate with other charities, as well as continued access to that 12-part series article. In 2018, we revised our charity evaluation system with CERT, the Charity Evaluation Reporting Tool. This new system is Microsoft Dynamics based. And one of the reasons we did that, we felt that would be helpful in being able to update things over time. And this is the current charity evaluation reporting system that is in use today. In 2018, we also issued for the first time the Donor Trust Report that Elvia Castro helps put together. And this is a survey of over 2,000 adults across the United States asking about donor beliefs related to charity trust. In this December will be the 4th version of the Donor Trust Report, and we've got some significant attention to these results that have appeared in the Chronicle of Philanthropy and other sources in terms of establishing us as getting a bead on the public perception of donor trust for charities. We also have issued some special reports on specific topics in donor trust. This is an example of one we released in 2019 on disaster relief organizations, which demonstrated that the public felt that many disaster relief appeals are still not clear enough in order to make informed giving decisions. I'm going to just briefly mention some of the 2020 activities we're involved in 2021, but we'll be talking more about them in the next October 22nd presentation. We talk about current activities. In 2020, we released this new website, and we gave it a more youthful appearance by having pictures of young people engaged in charities on the homepage. And we also had 3 audiences we were trying to address: charities, the general public, donors, as well as media. In 2020, we also launched Give Safely, which Ezra talked about earlier, which is a donation platform that uses blockchain technology and is also helping people give using cryptocurrency. We'll be hearing more about that program on October 22nd, where we talk about our current activities, but that was launched in 2020. And also in 2020, we launched the Heart of Giving podcast, which is a weekly podcast where Art Taylor interviews a person of leadership in the philanthropic sector to address various aspects of the motivations of why people give. And we've come out with a podcast every week, and we'll be talking about that more also on October 22nd, where we talk about our current activities. So that was a mouthful. I wanted to get through everything. So we had a little bit of time left to do a toasting and another activity with Elizabeth is going to mention. So thanks for bearing with me as I went through our history very quickly.